Alright, this topic wants us to find slopes of perpendicular lines because there's a relationship between the slopes of lines that meet at right angles. Perpendicular lines do exactly that. They come down and they meet and then they cause a right angle, which is 90 degrees. And the slopes of them, in the really fancy mathematical form, is when you multiply the slopes of them, you get positive or -1. But that's not what we're here to do. So we're here to just help find the slope of a perpendicular line. Oh, another thing, since I'm going to be writing this out, is you might as well know, if you don't already, that the word perpendicular can be abbreviated by that, an upside down T. I think most people know that, but it's a heck of a lot easier writing that than writing out the word perpendicular. Alright, let's maybe just jump in with an example. We're going to start by doing slopes of perpendicular lines and then expand into actually finding equations of perpendicular lines. So for the first one, let's say that we have y equals 3/5 x minus 1. And I want you to tell me what is the slope of a line perpendicular to that. Easiest way to do it is, well, first of all, you have to know that the equation they gave you is in slope-intercept form. The number in front of the x is our slope. We abbreviate that by m. So we need to know what the slope of this line is. And if you followed what I just said, it's the number in front of the x. The number in front of our x is 3/5. So that's the slope of the line they gave us. To find the perpendicular slope, it's pretty easy. So our perpendicular slope is going to equal, we flip that fraction upside down, it becomes 5/3. And because the fraction was positive in the original equation, it's now going to be negative. So that is the slope of a line perpendicular to the line they gave us. Let's try another one just so that we can kind of get the gist of that. Alright, let's see, we have y equals -3/4 x plus 7, and I want to know the slope of a line perpendicular to that. Again, look at the equation they gave us. It's in y equals mx plus b form. So the slope of this line is the number in front of the x. It's -3/4. Notice that we don't say the slope is -3/4 x. It's just plain old -3/4. So a perpendicular slope to this is, flip that sucker upside down. And because the original one was negative, we're going to leave our perpendicular one as being positive. The fancy math statement I said before simply means that if you take your original slope and you multiply it by your perpendicular slope, everything reduces out and your answer ends up being -1. And that's how most math books define it. Perpendicular slopes, the multiplication of their inverses turns out to be -1. It's really scary and long, and it's kind of an interesting fact, but people just want to know, how do I find the perpendicular slope? Just tell me how to do it. So that makes it a little easier. Alright, let's kick this up just a notch. Slide this out of the way, slide that up out of the way. Alright, let's say that I give you the equation y equals 3x plus 4, and I want you to find the equation of a line perpendicular to that, passing through what's a good point? We'll say -1, 6. Alright, a couple of steps for this. We're going to end up with an equation, and the equation that we're going to end up in will be in slope-intercept form. So that means that we have two tasks. We need to find our y-intercept, which is our b, and we need to find our slope, which is m. So if we look at the equation that they gave us, what is the slope? Well, look at the number in front of the x. It's 3, so that's the slope of that line. Our perpendicular slope, we're going to take the 3, we can think of it as 3/1. We're going to flip it upside down and make it 1/3, and then because the 3 was positive, this guy needs to be negative. So there's our slope for our new line. That's our first step. Second step, we need to find our y-intercept, and there is a formula that you can use for that. It's b equals y minus mx, and they gave us an ordered pair. So that can help us. If we label that ordered pair appropriately, where -1's the x and 6 is the y, that gives us an x and a y to plug into this equation I just wrote. So the y value is 6 minus, what was the m we just got? -1/3, because we want to use the perpendicular slope, times the x value, which is -1. This you can just type into your calculator all in one fell swoop if you want. It depends on what your teacher believes, if he or she wants you to do that. Some people get intimidated when they're working with fractions and they have to do order of operations with them. I'm going to work this out the long way. I'm going to have a negative times a negative, so that's going to be positive 1/3. So if I have 6 and I'm minusing out 1/3, I'm going to get 5 2/3 left over. And that is my b value. If you did it on the calculator, you might have got 5.66666666667. So finally, we put it together. We are looking for something in this format. Do we have a number for b? Yes, we do. Do we have a number for m? Yes, we do. So that's what we're going to do. Our m is -1/3. And we're going to put the x in there, plus, what's our b? 5 2/3. There we go. Beauteous. Alright, let's try another one. Slide this stuff up. Scoot, scoot, scoot. Alright. Alright, let's find the equation. It's not really finding it, you're determining it. It's not lost. Find the equation of a line perpendicular to y equals -1/4 x plus 6, which passes through I don't know, what sounds like some good numbers. -10, 3. That's a 3. -10, 3. Alright, find the equation of a line perpendicular to y equals -1/4 x plus 6, which passes through -10, 3. Step 1, find the slope. Alright, so in the equation that they gave us, our slope is -1/4. So our perpendicular slope is, flip that sucker upside down. We can write it as 4 or 4/1. -1/4 was negative, so ours is going to be positive. So there's our slope. Step 2, we need to find our y-intercept, or our b value. Here's the formula for that. And looky here, we have an x and a y we haven't used that they gave us. We know that the line passes through that because it told us so. So we plug them in. The y value they gave us was 3, minus the slope we just calculated was 4, and the x that they gave us was -10. Oh, no fractions for this order of operations. 3 minus -40, boop boop, I got 43. So the final equation is going to be y equals 4x plus 43. And there you have it. Alright, I hope you feel a little more comfortable with this now that you've seen a couple of them done out. If you have any questions about it, or there's some spots I didn't clarify well enough, come find me and I will be glad to help you out. Thanks.